Well, strategies sometimes start with something as simple as planning. And I'd like to tell a little story about my colleague at the end of the table here and me. The day I met Adrian Gardner, when he became the Weather Service Chief Information Officer, I was the Chief Information Officer of the NOAA Satellite and Information Service.
All right.
And the conversation we had on day one was about big data.
We were ahead of your time.
Well, it was a clear and present issue for us at the time. We were looking at two new series of satellites going to be launched by NOAA, by the satellite service, geostationary satellite called GOES-R and the NPOS satellite constellation, which is now known as JPSS.
Okay.
More on that later. The J isn't about multiple government agencies. It's about international and us, which creates all sorts of interesting big data fusion challenges. But the problem we were talking about the day we met was, so we're going to have all this data coming into the agency. How do we handle the telecommunications? How do we handle the processing of all of this so that we can actually honor the promise that we made to the American people when they funded the satellites in the first place? You've got to get improved forecasts. You can't let the data fall on the ground. It doesn't do you any good.
Right.
So 5 years later, I'm happy to say that we have a plan in place to, it's called the Ground System Readiness Program, to make sure that, in fact, we do have the investments in telecommunications and processing to make use of the data and ensure that forecasts get improved and there's no gaps in coverage and so on.
Terrific. So you're talking about planning and thinking out in the head to make sure that you don't get caught up where the volumes and the bandwidth needs exceed the ability of the equipment to process it.
And that's where you know when you're causing the issue yourself. There's other things that you do. Also, you have to worry about open standards for metadata, for interoperability. You've got to manage the life cycle of data. You've got to plan for the archiving of it and the open access of it. And you've got to think about how you're going to be able to fuse it with other sources, because you've got to make it available to the public so they can do their thing. And because of the money situation that we're all in, we have to look to other sources of big data and figure out how we're going to bring those in.